Good morning, everybody.
Good
Oh,
morning, everybody.
how's it going, Andrew?
In Andrew World, everything's going pretty good. Yeah.
Good. Oh, here
Okay.
we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Victoria Real Estate Show. It is Thursday, October 17th. We are talking today about what's the next best step for buyers and sellers at the end of the year now. We have a unique sort of, trifecta happening. So we have inflation rate down, we have two elections going on, and we're getting close to Christmas. So there's lots of opportunities here. We wanted to just chat with you about if you're a buyer or seller, what your potential steps are. Alrighty. And
Right
who
on.
are you?
Okay. Let's dive in. Who am I? I ask that question every day. My name is Andrew Plank. I'm a realtor, etc. With the Vibe Real Estate Group, and I'm licensed with Royal LePage, and I've been doing this for 18 plus years, coming on 19 years. And Jane, am I the older brother, or are you the older sister in real estate?
Well,
I,
from the
oh,
picture we're showing, you're definitely the older brother.
uh-huh. Okay, wait a sec. Real estate number, you're 1784. I'm 1783, right? Or are you 1782?
3783.
Oh, 37. Yeah.
What are you?
Uh,
He's checking.
3782. I'm older.
Those are our numbers in real estate. Okay. So, welcome everybody. If you like the show today, please give us a little like. And if you've watched it, please put in hashtag watched. We'd like to know who's watching. And if you have any questions, please comment, ask us a question. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels and share this to somebody who may be of interest to you and to us in terms of real estate. Okay, let's start off. What's been going on the last 7 days, Andrew?
Last 7 days, we've had 218 new listings go live, 132 pending, 102 price decreases, 3 price increases, 4 back on market, 151 transactions at Land Title Office, and 73 properties expired. So, seeing similar ratios to what we saw last week, although I guess price decreases are down.
So we're at 60% compared to 61%. Definitely less listings coming on. So that's interesting to me. Of course, we're following a seasonal fluctuation with the market anyway. But yeah, so 60% list to sale ratio over the past week. That's over the greater Victoria area. Of course, for your neighborhood, we do have to give you more in-depth information. Okay, and then net unconditional sales for the month so far are 282. We're halfway through the month. That's compared to 407 in October 2023. So it'll be interesting to see if we make or surpass what happened last year. New listings were at 533 for the month. That's compared to 1,100 in October of 2023 and only, wow, 271 in October. Wait, last week. So we're getting up there. Active listings were at 3,220 total, and that is up from last year from 2,756. And
It's down though from last month.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, it's down
Last
from
week.
last week. Yeah.
And that has to do with less listings, but more sales going on. So
yeah.
Yippee. Okay. And Jen sent us a note last night that the inflation rate's at 1.6%. We've been saying throughout the year they're been angling for 2%, and everybody who I hear chat about it, this is an imaginary goal, but the purpose of the goal is to decrease spending. So this is why they've made money so expensive, essentially. Everything's so expensive.
that goal by going, we've been over that target for quite a while, or we were for quite a while, and that was why the interest rates kept rising. They were trying to cap and put pressure on people, downward pressure on people's spending, because the inflation rate was going up much more rapidly. Was 4% at the time? I don't know. It was, I don't remember, but it was definitely higher than the 2% target. Now we're under that 2% target, so people are overall, the people in the know and the markets are banking on a 0.5% interest rate drop from the Bank of Canada. The next announcement, we'll see if that actually comes to pass, but that's high probability of happening.
It feels very abrupt all of a sudden, this interest rate drop.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, different factors, different metrics for reading it. Who
I
knows?
mean,
It'll
inflation rate.
be 2.5% again. This is all.
Yeah. So what's happening is we have an announcement next week on the 23rd, which is a week away, and they're expecting the drop to go 0.5. So that will really stimulate, we think, the market. We are also about to enter into our election. The advanced polling is already happening for British Columbia, and of course, we have the US election happening in November as well. So
Yeah.
my thought is, as soon as we sort of have closure, provided somebody doesn't storm the White House, we'll see what happens. And we have sort of like a firm grasp on what the next steps are, that I think there'll be a big change in the market. What do you think?
Well, I think that stability is always a good thing for people who are on the fence. And these big unknowns, like currently in BC, which direction is government going to go? Is it going to go more conservative or left or right sort of sided? And that's a big question. And the business decisions made based on that, some people may want to wait on. Are they going to have a job? Are they working already in government, and is their job semi-political, or could a change in government or the existing government make some changes there? What's going on in the States is also really going to impact a lot of people. It can really affect our economy. We go up and down with the US tide quite often, and the markets also are waiting to see what happens. So certainly once there's that clarity, I think it'll make a difference. But at the same time, waiting for that clarity means you might miss out on some opportunities. It's the uncertainty that does cause some sellers to be more mobile in their pricing and softer. The winter time also does that as well. I mean, I walked outside the other day to go and take a topper to my new listing. There was a showing that was about to happen there. I got there just before. It was pouring rain. And, it's just not the same experience you're going to have at a showing in spring when the flowers are out and it's warm and sunny, right? So people, I think, are just, this time of year is a good time for buyers if they can get over that stuff.
It's so funny you say that, because I have a very, very bright top floor condo with big windows, and it was a rainy day, and the buyer said they felt the condo was dark. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the funniest thing. But so the thing is, when there's uncertainty, is I don't know where people get their clues from, but they go, oh, you know what? Maybe
From
I'm not
us.
going to. What?
They get
Us?
their clues from us. Some of them.
Yeah, well, I'm like, this is a great opportunity. Why not take advantage of it? Everybody else is hanging out there wondering what they're going to do. Now is the time to make the move. And I was explaining to some buyers last night. They're like, yeah, well, if everybody else is waiting, maybe we should just wait. Well, that's exactly why you don't wait. I feel like the knife has fallen and we're at the bottom of.
You use that analogy a lot, the catch a falling knife. And do you want to explain that? Because I don't know. I'd love a clear illustration of what that exactly means. I know most people probably know.
So the falling knife strategy is basically it's a cautionary sort of analogy to not jump into the market. And that's where if you jump in on when there's a sharp drop, that you will be in a position where you will possibly be at risk.
As it
And
continues to fall, you mean?
yeah. So the best way to catch the falling knife is to look for the reverse pattern, so as to see when you are going to then bounce back up. So what that means is the knife has made the cut and now it's coming back. And so now okay, let me use another analogy. It's like a slinky. The slinky has compressed and we are at a position now. So when during COVID, here was pricing the low end and the high end. And then what happened over the past few years is the low end has come down and the upper end has come down and it's kind of compressed. And now we're at this point. And what's going to happen is the knife has fallen. We've got the cut and now it's going to rebound up. And we'll see the compression will relax. And I think what happens, I remember thinking this in 2009, that once there's a point in time where if you want to move up the property ladder, stop smiling at me like that. You want to move up the property ladder, the increment, let's say, is $50,000. And
Right.
once prices rebound, the increment for the same two houses, the change is like
Right.
maybe $200,000.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do see, I mean, the market tends to want to find a level, and it does. I mean, I would imagine, continue that on. You're holding the slinky, you put a weight on it, and you drop it, and it's going to go up and down along with the market. But I bring my hand up, and we're losing people, I'm sure. But it always wants to find its level, and then what's going on in the marketplace as well, where the hand that's holding this goes up and down as well. So it's always going to work within a certain range, but also the market itself is going to lift and lower. We've been lowering because of lower interest rates, and at some point these interest rates are because of high interest rates, and these interest rates have been coming down. More people are going to be coming into the marketplace. That being said, there's also a reason for those lower interest rates. Inflation's down, people aren't spending as much money. So when does that come back and really go to the gangbusters in the past that we've had? And we do tend to go in those cycles. The catching the knife and all of those analogies is we want to watch those cycles, but you don't want to get, if there's a dip, buy near the bottom of the dip. But if you're buying on the upswing of that dip, you're going to be fighting for inventory. You're going to be paying above asking, and you're probably not going to have as much selection. As the dip is getting slower and it's slowing down, getting closer to the bottom of the dip, and people are always waiting for that bottom and they're raising up before they start taking action, it goes up really fast. If you're just near the bottom of the dip, that's where you want to be. And that's the hard thing to predict.
And how do you know that? You know that because the inventory starts to increase. You know that because the interest rates start to go down. You know that because there's longer days on market. You know that like there's lots of indicators. And so I guess this is why you work with somebody who is looking at the business all the time the way we do, is because we see like I was helping a client look for a house and they're like, we're looking for a house and our budget is $900,000. And I'm like, wow, 2 years ago, I could maybe find 5 homes in Greater Victoria for under $900,000.
Yep. And now you
Now
can find,
there's a lot.
yeah. And nobody wants to buy them because they think, oh, well, there's a lot. And it's a really weird psychology. Whereas 2 years ago, you could have gotten anybody to buy. you know.
Yeah.
So, what is that? That's an interesting psychology. In terms of us, though, being able to really predict and read the market, we can't know for sure what's going to happen tomorrow. But I mean, I remember when Vancouver buyers were coming over here with, wheelbarrows full of money because they'd sold out their home in Vancouver or Toronto, any of the larger centers, coming here because our land was cheaper, our properties were cheaper, and people wanted to live here. That started to happen. I saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, okay, if you get into real estate now, you're going to do really well riding that wave up, and you want to watch for these different waves. And there's also competing waves. There's some waves going down, some waves going up at the same time. You want to understand the strength of these different waves and everything else. And that is where talking to your real estate agent and not just looking at the stats. That's one thing I find a lot of people do is they look solely at the stats, and there is a little more holistic looking at things as well. The stats are very important, and it's a really good indicator, but it's not the whole picture. So that's one thing I find really, really telling.
I think that has to do with optimism. Optimism, when people are enthusiastic about what's coming up, and they're open-minded, and they're more easygoing. These things all indicate higher optimism, and that indicates a better market for me.
Do you find, Jane, that our colleagues too, though, affect that? Our colleagues, our colleagues' optimism. We get caught up in this pool of, talking to our colleagues, and they're like, "I'm so busy, and we're really going," and you start getting busy too, and suddenly you think everyone is busy, or slow, or vice versa.
Yeah, which is a great reason to hang around with people who are doing better than you, because they bring you up and they make you feel more positive as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we always talk about this winter kind of effect of, prices, sales might slow down a little bit month over month, although I think they went up month over month for this month, September, October, or September was higher than August. But we're moving in towards the winter now again, and so there is a subset and a pool of sellers out there that are more flexible, I think, than you would find them in the spring.
Yeah, because there are people right now. So we're October 17th. Essentially, we have 8 weeks left of real sale time where closings can happen. Things tend to slow down after the 15th of December, I find. So there are sellers who are like, I got to move before Christmas. Bring me your offer now.
Yeah. Or they don't know what they don't want to wait, and they don't know. Subjectively, they've already been waiting for a while to get their home on market. Maybe they've been on market for to get their home sold. They've been on market for a few months, and then they have to take it off over. They don't have to take it off over winter. They don't, but a lot of people choose to. And a young family getting ready for Christmas, for example, they may not want to have to keep the home clean for showings all the time. They've got their focus on, family and just other things. So we end up with this sort of slow time that a lot of people don't want to have to bridge and wait for the spring, and especially if they've already bought something else or have other plans. People get impatient.
It's so funny you say that, because I have this mindset where I just keep going till the end of the year. And I have a goal, getting certain people in at certain times. And so what happens is my business just keeps going, whereas a lot of people slow down. So that's where you're talking about the realtor affecting the buyers right now. So I'm part of this group of Remax realtors across Canada called the Vanguard, and we're all mature realtors. Anyway, I was asking, what are your strategies over the next few days, next few weeks? And so some people are talking to their sellers. Do you still want to sell and close before Christmas? If so, we haven't had an offer. Let's do a price adjustment. Some people are calling people up, like 5 people a day, and saying, let's get going. Let's put the pedal to the metal. And I'm saying to my clients, like, it's a great opportunity right now, I think, because everybody else doesn't think it's a great opportunity. So let's take
I think,
advantage of the negativity of the group think and before the positivity hits in, and then you don't have
yeah,
as much competition.
I'd invite anybody to look at games theory and, just the way of like, group thinking of people, and how these things work. I'd also say though, Jane, we're our own worst enemies. I was talking about this at our recent networking group, a local networking group I'm a member of, and how, we are in real estate. We work all hours because our clients often work evenings or work during the day. So we're out with showing them weekends and evenings. We're dealing with offers at all times, but we tend to work, long hours. We tend to work long weekends. We tend to continue to work and work and work and not turn ourselves off. We need that. People need to have some time, some downtime as well. And I found more and more, and especially some of the younger realtors are saying, no, I'm going to take this long weekend off.
Perfect.
And and yeah, and winter as well and summer, there are times that are seasonal where we know you're going to be working in springtime, like 24, almost like you're just working and working and working and working. There's some point you want to have some downtime. And I'm just saying that realtors almost not by any kind of um, express,
Design.
outside agreement. It just is how it works. Is realtors tend to slow down in summertime and kind of by mutual unspoken agreement tend to take a slower approach to work. And same with around Christmas and long weekends.
Yeah, so what's interesting is so we listed a property. This is where I'm talking about the action versus inaction. We listed a property on the Oak Bay border last week, and we had people thinking about it, and I was getting all these messages. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, great. Well, I'm just going to pull you all together when one person actually pulls the trigger and writes an offer. And so they were um, talking and talking. And then one person pulls a trigger. And now I go from one offer to three offers. And two other people are like, well, let me know if it doesn't come together. Well, I have three offers on the table. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
There are five elements to the offer. Price is one, dates are another, terms and conditions, deposit. Like if we just focus just on price, we're really limiting ourselves. We should be focusing on writing our best offer all the time. You are definitely not. Anyway, you're not going to get the house if you don't compete. But the whole I don't want to compete, it's not about price sometimes. Just saying.
You mean the sale is not about price and you're not competing? I've seen multiple offers all under asking price. I've seen that.
Yeah.
I question it. I think it's interesting, but I've seen that, but again, the listing on a long weekend and sort of collecting, let's say, collecting interest. You don't know if somebody else might be. There might have been five really keen buyers for that property who, if it been listed on a non-long weekend, would have seen it and vied for it more quickly. And over that long weekend, you could have had maybe those five buyers could have come through over the long weekend, maybe not quite as quickly. Maybe three of them would have waited till after the long weekend. But the one who went through the first day is probably going to write the offer, not compete, and get it for lower price than they could have. And
The
there is that.
waiting costs the buyers money.
Yes. Oh,
That's what you're
always.
saying.
Always. Always. I'm going to wait and see what happens. Okay, well, wait, while you're waiting to see what happens, every day there's 5, 10, 20 people going through that home. And other people start to collect who are saying, I'm going to wait and see what happens until it reaches a critical mass. And then finally one person takes action and everybody goes, oh, this place sounds like something so other people want, so I want it now too.
Yes, which is
It's
why
like,
open
it's just
houses
weird.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
open houses are great for that because you have two people going, wait a minute, they like that house. They like that house. We should write an offer on it because I don't want them to have it.
It's
Very
weird
weird.
because again, I work with a lot of people who say, I'm not going to make an emotional decision. This is all about the money, and it's got to be the area. It's got to have the right configuration. We've got our list. We're going to adhere to our list, and and then and again, you put the right home in front of them, and they say, well, we're going to have to think about it. And those people just don't tend to be the ones that win and get the properties, unfortunately. I think you need to have a little bit of emotionality in this, and allow yourself to. I know people don't want to get their hearts broken in a sense, like they get liking a home and they don't want to have to vie for it. They don't want to overpay. But I guess going back to the point of this kind of market right now, you have a lot more opportunity to not compete. You have a lot more opportunity to get a lower price than you've had for a while. You have a lot more opportunity to have selection in the marketplace. And yes, the market could go down and be lower in the spring, but it's the chances of it going up, I think, are higher.
Yes,
So
agreed.
if you're looking to gamble with your money, just wait. But I think the better time is now, and that's not to say, because sellers are not going to just get capped at the knees when an offer comes in and say, when you say, well, if you don't sell now, you're not going to sell till spring. People still need to get what they're going to get, and I find it's harder to get prices. Prices come down much more slowly than they go up. So once they do start going up, they're going to go up much more quickly than people have been, I think, are ready for.
That's an
And
interesting observation. It's true.
they do, they go down much, much more slowly because the thing is, sellers remember what they paid for a place. They know what they need in order to move on to another place. And prices don't just if the market quote crashes, it crashes because buyers stop coming to the table. But sellers don't just suddenly say, well, buyers aren't here, so we're going to drop our prices by $100,000.
Right,
You're going to say, well, I'm going to wait longer for a buyer than I may have waited before. And
right.
if they
So
truly have to sell, they'll make some adjustments.
I've been having a lot of conversations with sellers right now, and I'm like, if you want your price, you're going to have to wait and be patient, but just understand you're also going to be paying more on the other end when the market picks up in the spring. So you
Yeah,
have to sort of make a decision on your strategy here on how
yeah,
you want to end up. And if you do like the property, make the decision now so that you can move forward and especially avoid competition so that because the competition just costs you money. Ten or
competition costs
twenty
money.
thousand dollars at least.
Waiting costs money too. And there was a time where, I remember there was a time, early 2000s, when I bought my first home, trying to save up a down payment, and so frustrating as property values, not just property values went up faster than I could save for a down payment, but almost the 10%. If I had 10% down and I was trying to get to 10% down for a home, the 10% required, because the home values went up so fast that even just getting to 10%, I was never getting there fast enough, right?
Yep.
So, as I tell many of my clients, if you, especially first timers, if you are in a place where you can afford to buy something, and you're in a perfect storm because it's hard to get there. And so take
Yep.
advantage of that. Get into the property ladder, even if you're sacrificing not the best home that you wanted and so forth. It may not be that dream home that you've always wanted. It might be a starter condo, but at least it gets you going.
Yeah. So it's interesting when I got into the market, it was
Yeah,
because I'd come from Toronto and the average house
yeah,
price in Toronto was 250 and it was for like a bungalow that you would find in Oak Bay sort of thing. And I
yeah.
was like, I came out to Victoria. I was a student, so I had been teaching for years, but I was a student at that point. And the average house price was 230,000 for a couple of acres in Machosen. And that's when I thought, okay, I got to get in now And
Yeah.
so me on my measly salary, I was working in a co-op for government, and it's funny because my kids are like, "You're so lucky." I only moved into my own house 12 years ago. We bought as investors and then
And rented.
used the equity. Yeah,
Right.
because
Right.
and we didn't hesitate.
I think one
And
thing
the
you said, which I want to, I mean, I don't want to diminish what you're saying because I think it's really important, but I also want to highlight something you said, which was uh, you came from another center. You came from Ontario, and I think a lot of we Victorians get really Victoria centric, and we see with a very blinded vision as to what's happening. And people come from other centers and go, what a beautiful place. And the pricing is actually pretty good. And I don't mind this commute from a Chosen or Souk or Cobble Hill to be able to live in this environment, this this culture, this environment, this access to recreation, this country. People don't necessarily see it when we've been living in it. We start to take it for granted, and we also don't really see what others with a fresh set of eyes see as to, oh, this is actually this particular area that for me, it maybe wouldn't have been on my radar as a local, looks like a really great place to be.
to
And you saw
me, to
Machosen.
me, it's so obvious. So two things. One is that speaks to the point of really keeping up to date with people who aren't in your local area so that you understand what's going on in other markets and talking to them about pricing and seeing what the trends are because they right now it's heating up in White Rock, by the way. So that says
Okay.
to me when it's starting to heat up on the mainland that it's going to heat up on the island after. We're kind of a secondary market to them, but also just seeing like what the trend is. So Alberta has had a really hot year and multiple offers, and I have a friend there asking me, how do you deal with multiple offers? How do you win those? We haven't seen a lot of multiple offers here in Victoria in a long time. I mean, if our group we've been pricing our properties where we think right where the market value is, and that's been a good thing for our clients, but I wouldn't say it's the norm. It's it's interesting to see where like the perspective of other agents will give you perspective. It also speaks to traveling yourself as a person around the world, checking out real estate in other places, and
Mhm.
just understanding exactly what you're saying. Like, what are the characteristics of Victoria that make it such a great place to live, and
Mhm.
uh, how are we represented compared to elsewhere in the world? So when I go
Mhm.
back to Toronto and I check out real estate there, or I go to Kingston and I see, they have dumpy homes in the annex where I went to school. They call it the ghetto for 770,000.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, all that is interesting to me. So
Yeah.
because when I come back, I go, okay, you know what? We're doing well here. And the whole travel thing, I will never forget how painful it was to travel in Toronto. An hour and a half one way, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And
So,
people do come here and think, oh, an hour and a half in Toronto, so 45 minutes isn't a big deal in Victoria. And then they get here, and again, they get Victoria blinders. They suddenly start wearing the Victoria sunglasses and say, oh, that 45 minutes, that's way too long. It's half what they had in Toronto. And they were super happy with that. But they get here and they're like, no, 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 I don't want that anymore. I want 20 minutes max, 15 ideally. Actually, I want the village. I want to have a village next door to me and work from home. So, yeah. And that's what you get.
okay.
I think the world's changing. I know we got to get going. The world's changing though, and the way that people work is changing. A lot more people want to work from home, and yet they still want access to amenities. So Victoria's got a nice mix of that, and Vancouver Island has a nice mix of that.
Right. And so we just want to say, both Andrew and I, we work very similarly and completely differently.
Very differently.
So if you want to search for properties online, you do not have to leave your home. You can search via Andrew's portal or my portal, and we can help get you started. And if you want, message Andrew. If you want to work with him, message me. If you want to work with me, and we can get you going. And let's take advantage of this market, people.
There you go. Okay. Well, and I've got some listings that just went live yesterday, and already getting some good activity. So, and then we've got listings that are sitting, and it's a balancing act, and it's a really, really weird market out there. Some things are just gone. But we'd love to talk to you guys, and really appreciate your time. Thanks everybody for watching. And I should actually get going and continue on with this stuff. Jane, did you want to talk about any of your needs or wants? I'm going to skip that for today.
No, it's okay. Our new listing just sold. We're relisting our East Saanich property for $824,900. If anybody's interested, it's a townhome with a legal suite. So that's coming out today.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Oh.
Andrew, how do people reach you?
Yeah, give me a call. I'm at 250-360-6106, or email me info@andrewplank.com. And I'm on Instagram under plankandrew. And there's the website as well with lots of tips and tools. But yeah, just reach out. Thanks so much. Jane?
Okay, if people want to reach me, Boyan is my new fan. He's an old friend of mine who's we just caught up on Facebook. So good to hear from you, Boyan. My name is Jane Johnston. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. My website, briarhillgroup.com, and you can check us out. Our website's working, victoriarealestateshow.com. We are going to be revamping it. And if you want to know what's going on in Victoria and watch me travel around town with my tiara, you can follow me at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria or Briar Hill Group. Thank you and take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye, Jane.
Love you.
Have a good week. Love you too.